Hello fellow teapotters. Welcome back to Comprehensive Indoor Guide Part 4. I really hope you have successfully synced a few cats and dogs with the help of the previous syncing guide. Jokes aside, today we'll learn how to float non-ornaments indoors. Before jumping right into floating, I expect you to already be very familiar with these few texts to avoid potential harm towards your gaming device. First, the concept of floor height difference. This is not too complicated, but if you need a refresher, please go back to episode 1 for a thorough explanation. Second, the create set function, which was explained during the syncing episode. And of course, syncing. The first is the slowest but the easiest way to float. If you were here during part 1, you should already know that each floor in different rooms in mansions has different depths and height value. Although in most places, Sumeru floor is the lowest and Fontaine floor the highest, double-check the floor height in case you are coincidentally doing this in, for example, Fontaine Mansion, where Sumeru floor is also as high. The idea is to capitalize on the floor height difference and the set creation resetting properties to slowly float the target furniture. Important to note, you will do all the set breaking, float set, adjusting, etc. with the lower flooring. The higher flooring is only used to float. Rinse and repeat until you reach the desired height. Second method is also easy and fast. However, it only works effectively in Inazuma's second floor corridor. Do you remember when we talked about anchor point during the syncing episode, where we were visualizing the wall out of bounds as our non-existent platform? Here we have a new built-in platform in the form of the handrails. By tweaking the set creation feature and moving the set's anchor point to the handrail, you can even slightly adjust the height of the furniture. Liyue and Mondstadt handrails also has hitboxes, but not to this extent. Have you synced enough to realize that there is also depth limits on syncing? The third method will capitalize both the syncing limit and the floor height difference to our advantage. Since syncing with camera angle from above does not guarantee how deep the synced value is, I will demonstrate this using the low camera angle method. After syncing 7 times, syncing the 8th time will bring us beyond the syncing limit and we'll fail to save. However, by syncing the 8th time using the upper camera angle, we can control the depth value to sync once more to the maximum limit. You might want to save because the depth limit is very difficult to achieve. that we have hopefully reached the absolute sinking limit, change the floor to Fontaine floor and add the third furniture you want to float. If you do this correctly, creating set and moving them will force these furnitures to resurface, and voila, afloat. You can do this everywhere as long as Sumeru floor is lower than Fontaine. If the low camera angle tech doesn't work, you can do this with the normal bird's eye view sinking. However, I cannot tell you how many times exactly you have to sink to reach the absolute depth limit. The idea is tedious but simple. Sink until you can't anymore. Grab a third furniture, change to a higher floor and float. The problem with this is, you cannot do this tech in Sumeru and Fontaine mansions because the floor height difference is skewed. If you do not want to use the first floating method because it is very slow, there is still a tech you can use especially to mitigate the restriction in Sumeru and Fontaine. Let's go to the second floor corridor. We will create a magic to make the corridor floor visible from below. To do this, we have to click two different floorings back and forth as fast as possible. By making this corridor floor visible, we have created a new platform to work with. Start by doing the sinking stuff like usual. We need to sink a lot to mitigate the height limit, but max depth is not necessary. Now we'll combine the linking tech with this new platform to sink an ornament quite below the usual sink limit. In multi-select mode, click the ornament, then the floater, exactly in that order. Then, move them up to the second floor, then cancel. Your ornament piece is now synced. Here I can show you how the synced bookshelf can be floated and the unsynced one will go past the height limit. Look at the color of the headbox. We definitely need to make them all not red. We will break down the set here. Use drag select feature to select both the ornament and the furniture to float. Be careful to not select anything that will go past the height limit. Now you have successfully floated in Fontaine Mansion 2. To readjust the height in case it is higher than desired, you need to resync the floated furniture. In case you haven't figured it out, another tip to move around both synced and floated furniture is to always move them within a set and never touch the height altered pieces. Here is, by the way, the height limit as a reference. If you have tested some or most of the text I covered here, let us celebrate your skills and patience. The last part of the comprehensive indoor guide will be about some miscellaneous text you could apply to your teapot designs. I would really like to have some tech troubleshooting parts in the next part if possible. Therefore, I will wait for some feedbacks on what you find difficult before posting. If you have any specific troubles in any of the indoor texts I covered until now, or if you have any texts you want to share, please leave a comment below. Until then, see you and happy teapotting!